Melatonin and Autism, What Parents Should Know. Before we begin, I want to ask you something important. If you are parenting an autistic child and sleep has ever made you feel exhausted, confused, or overwhelmed, this video is for you. And if you value evidence-based guidance delivered with compassion and clarity, subscribe now, turn on notifications, and become part of a community that supports families raising children on the autism spectrum. Because informed parents make empowered decisions. Now, let's talk about melatonin. 13 a.m. The world outside is quiet, but inside your home, your child is awake. Eyes open, body restless, mind active. You've dimmed the lights. You've read the story. You've followed the routine. And still, sleep doesn't come. You've heard about melatonin. Other parents mention it. Doctors sometimes suggest it. Online forums debate it. But what is it really? Is it safe? Is it necessary? Is it overused? And what does science actually say about melatonin and autism? Tonight, we go beyond opinions. We go into understanding. Melatonin, the body's night signal. Melatonin is not a sleeping pill. It is not a sedative. It is a hormone naturally produced by the pineal gland, a small structure deep inside the brain. Its main job is to regulate the circadian rhythm, the internal biological clock that tells us when to be awake and when to rest. During the day, light exposure suppresses melatonin production. As evening approaches and light decreases, the brain begins releasing melatonin into the bloodstream. This release signals, "It is nighttime. Slow down. Prepare for rest." Melatonin does not force sleep. It prepares the brain for sleep. That distinction matters, because in autism, the issue is often not refusal, it is timing and regulation. Why autism and sleep are so closely connected. Sleep disturbances are significantly more common in autistic children than in neurotypical peers. Estimates suggest that up to 80% of children on the spectrum experience some form of sleep difficulty. Why? Because autism affects the nervous system in ways that directly impact sleep regulation. Several contributing factors include differences in melatonin production or release timing, irregular circadian rhythm alignment, sensory hypersensitivity, heightened anxiety, gastrointestinal discomfort, co-occurring ADHD. The autistic brain often operates in a state of heightened alertness. The nervous system may struggle to transition from active processing mode to rest mode. For some children, melatonin production begins later than expected. For others, total production levels may be lower. This creates what is known as delayed sleep phase. In simple terms, the child's body does not feel sleepy when society expects them to. This is not misbehavior, it is biology. The science behind melatonin differences in autism. Research over the past 2 decades has explored melatonin synthesis, pathways in autistic individuals. Melatonin is synthesized from serotonin, which itself is derived from tryptophan. Several studies have identified lower nighttime melatonin levels in some autistic children, genetic variations affecting enzymes involved in melatonin production, differences in serotonin regulation. Delayed dim light melatonin onset, DLMO, dim light melatonin. Onset refers to the time in the evening when melatonin naturally begins to rise. In many autistic children, this onset occurs significantly later than average. If melatonin release begins at 10:30 p.m. instead of 8:30 p.m., the child will not feel physiologically sleepy until much later. Forcing bedtime at 8:30 becomes a battle. Understanding timing changes the approach entirely. The impact of chronic sleep deprivation. When sleep difficulties persist, the effects extend far beyond nighttime. Chronic sleep deprivation effects: emotional regulation, frustration tolerance, cognitive flexibility, attention span, working memory, immune system function. In autistic children, who already process sensory and emotional information intensely, insufficient sleep lowers the threshold for overwhelm. Meltdowns increase, anxiety intensifies, repetitive behaviors may escalate, focus declines. Parents often search for behavioral explanations, but sometimes the root cause is simple. An exhausted brain cannot regulate efficiently. Sleep is neurological fuel. Without it, everything feels harder. When melatonin supplementation is considered. Melatonin supplementation is sometimes recommended when A child consistently requires more than 60-90 minutes to fall asleep. Structured bedtime routines have been implemented without success. Daytime functioning is significantly impaired by sleep loss. Circadian rhythm delay is suspected. Melatonin is most effective for sleep onset delay, difficulty initiating sleep. It is less effective for night awakenings caused by anxiety, environmental disruptions, or medical discomfort. This is important. Melatonin helps initiate the sleep process. It does not address every sleep problem. The safety considerations and responsible use. Melatonin is widely available over the counter in many regions. However, it remains a hormone, and hormones should be treated with respect. Short-term use under medical supervision is generally considered safe. Possible mild side effects include morning drowsiness, vivid dreams, headaches, irritability, gastrointestinal discomfort. Long-term safety data is still evolving. Therefore, always consult a pediatric professional. Start with the lowest effective dose. Monitor changes carefully. Reassess periodically. Quality control matters. Because supplements are not uniformly regulated, choosing reputable manufacturers is critical. Dose and timing, the critical variables. One of the most misunderstood aspects of melatonin is dosing. More does not mean better. In fact, very small doses often produce optimal results. Melatonin works as a signal, not a sedative. If given at the wrong time, it may disrupt rather than support circadian alignment. Timing typically depends on the child's natural melatonin onset. In many cases, melatonin is administered 30-90 minutes before desired sleep time, but this varies. Professional guidance is not optional. It is essential. Melatonin is not a replacement for sleep hygiene. Melatonin cannot compensate for bright lights at bedtime, screen exposure late at night, irregular schedules, high sensory stimulation, inconsistent routines. Healthy sleep hygiene remains foundational. Consistent bedtime and wake time, reduced evening screen exposure, calm sensory environment, predictable routine, physical activity during the day, morning sunlight exposure. Melatonin should support structure, not replace it. The emotional reality for parents. Many parents hesitate. They ask, am I medicating unnecessarily? Will my child become dependent? Is this the right decision? These questions reflect love. But remember, chronic sleep deprivation is also harmful. Protecting brain health is responsible parenting. Choosing melatonin when appropriate is not giving up. It is using available tools wisely. And sometimes, after structure, routine, and environmental adjustments have been implemented, supplementation provides the missing piece. Every child is unique. There is no universal answer. There is only informed decision-making. A holistic perspective? Melatonin should be viewed within the broader context of autism support. Sleep interacts with sensory integration, emotional safety, anxiety management, nutrition, movement, environmental consistency. A holistic approach produces sustainable results. Melatonin can help open the door to sleep, but emotional security keeps it stable. If this video brought you clarity, if it replaced confusion with understanding, if it helped you feel less alone in your nighttime struggles, share it. There is another parent awake right now who needs this information. Leave a comment below. Have you considered melatonin? What questions do you still have? Your voice matters. And if you believe that informed parenting transforms lives, subscribe, turn on notifications, and continue this journey with us. Because every autistic child deserves restful nights, and every parent deserves support grounded in knowledge, compassion, and hope. See you in the next video.